stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Selectman Tymniak, if you'd be good enough to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, then as the first order of business, to consider and act upon the minutes from the regular meeting of August 3rd, 2016. May I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
A second?
Second it.
Any comments or amendments?
No, they look good to me.
Okay. All right. I have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Next up, an update from the Parks and Recreation Director. To hear an update from the Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Lombardo, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Well, I recently just dropped a flyer, the program book for this coming fall in front of you. Those are some of the upcoming programs. But I want to go over what we've done the past year and give you the type of programs and the numbers that we facilitate throughout the year. As you all know, we offer a great deal of recreation programs. And a couple of our bigger ones in the summer are the summer playground programs, which we break down to different age groups. We had over 4,000 youngsters participate. And not only did we have during the 9 to 3 program, we also offer before care and after care programming so that parents can drop their children off earlier and pick them up by 5 o'clock in the evening. That's an added cost, but we had over in the playground programs, grades 1 through 6, we had approximately over 600 youngsters participate in that. And in the older groups, 7 through 9, we had 74 take part in that. And that's a 6-week program, 2-week sessions, and you sign up for each session. We also offer 2 individual week programs called Teen Adventure, where they go on a trip every day. We offer at the end of the 6 weeks, we had 200 children, 100 children a week for that. And that's for ages 12 through 16. And tomorrow will be the last day of that program. And then our summer.
Where did summer go?
Yes. Sports programs, our soccer programs, we have over 4,100 children participating. It's usually a 7 weeks program. Our youth basketball program, we have over 1,700 children participating, and we have different types of programs. We have clinics, leagues, and they run, as I said, approximately over 1,700 total. Adult programs, we have approximately over 700 participants, adults. In the 2 leagues, we run adult softball, and we have a men's basketball league. On the program, indoor type programs that we offer, which are fairly extensive, at the recreation department in our small room, conference room, we run approximately 35 programs out of there. Mom and tot type programs, preschoolers, and it's anywhere, and some yoga classes, but we move them. We have over 800 participants just in those programs at our center. We contract a lot of our programs out, okay, on an 80-20 split. So we would hire a yoga instructor or somebody, and we would do the advertising, registrations, etc. These programs at our center alone brings in about $31,000 a year in revenue. So these are all pay-as-you-go programs. Our new recreation center at South Pine Creek, presently we run over 15 fitness programs there. We have over 200 youngsters, preschoolers in the program, throughout the programs, and over 500 adults and seniors in the programs. The programs down there, we work on a 60-40 split, and we bring in approximately $45,000 in the year and a half that we've been open. We also rent the facility out for birthday parties and any type of child's function. We get residents pay $100 an hour, and non-residents pay $200. We've had a total of 36 rentals, all residents. I do not allow any alcoholic beverages in the facility. That's not, it wasn't built for that, but it was built for a teen facility. We also run teen dances. We run about 6 dances a year. And this is really through our, and it's supervised by our town youth council. They help supervise it. It's the home of our newly haunted house that will be setting up at the middle of September and be ready for October. We had over 1,200 brave souls go through it last year. It was really our initial thing, and hopefully it's going to be eventually a fundraiser for the fire department, benevolent fund that they have, and we're working with the DPW, us, and the fire department putting this on, and the town youth services. During the summer, as you know, we have approximately 38 concerts, summer concerts on the green. We run 26 of them, and then recently the Saugatuck Suites business that opened just across the street, they sponsor all the concerts Saturday nights to draw business downtown. And all the concerts, and the town budgets the funding up front for ours, but we also offset it by sponsorships. We run 7 what we call peanut butter jam concerts on the green, and these are for youngsters, the real young kids. We get about 300 attendees at every concert, thereabouts, depending on, and it's well received from the town. And probably one of our bigger summer activities for families is our summer jam and movies on the beach. It's been a very successful event. We run 4 during the season. It's a dance and movie night. We've had anywhere between 300, the average is probably 800 people a night, but we've had well over 1,000 people there on one night, depending on the movie, depending on the evening, etc. All these are sponsored by, are covered by sponsor fees. Okay, we get many different sponsors. Jenna Paulus, one of the rec supervisors, is very instrumental in going out and getting sponsors. And we have many people calling to ask to help sponsor. We don't charge a lot, so don't ask me what they are because I don't recall, and it's one thing I didn't write down. But we try to make it a fun evening for everybody. One of the big things that Jenna Paulus runs is also our town youth council. And this is a group of teens. She has about 50 high school volunteers, and that really starts up during September of the school year. They work with MAD walkathons, they raise funds, they help with all these programs that we run, like the Thanksgiving fall shooting contest, that we try to have people bring canned goods and raise money for Operation Hope. She helps with the tree lighting ceremony that we have on the town green, our holiday breakfast, and all the middle school dances that we run. The town youth councils participate in that. And through all this, they raise funds for our, they named the Jackie Durrell Memorial Scholarship. We give 4 $1,000 scholarships to Fairfield seniors based on their community service accomplishments. And the funds are raised through all these programs that are under the town youth services. A new program that you may not be aware of is what we call the Juvenile Review Board. This is a collaboration of the Fairfield Police Department and the community, adult volunteers, school personnel, counselors, and social workers. What it does is first-time offenders of youth under 18 who are arrested for minor offenses that the police feel would fit rather than going to juvenile court and being sent back. It's been very popular around the state. Several of the town youth services programs have done it. They meet, the social workers go out, meet with the families, and we bring the case before the Juvenile Review Board, and they set what they feel is a just punishment or corrective action for the youngster. Could be anywhere from community service, apology letter, etc., depending on the offense. Our fitness center, we have over 800 a year members, probably 50-50 on adults and seniors. Penfield, as you all know, is on the track to being ready for it'll be ready by January. It is on track. Just so everybody knows, next Wednesday, they'll be moving the building back at 8 a.m. In place. We already have taken 11 reservations for the facility for next spring. We've had probably anywhere between 10 and 12 calls a week inquiring about the facility, but many are waiting for it to see it in place. We're going to be asking to change the way we rent our facility. Presently, you rent it 1 year in advance. We're finding that if you want weddings and things of that nature, they need more than 1 year to plan out. So we are going to be bringing it before the commission and looking to let them know that we would like to any future date. And we can do it now that we have computer systems. Before you had to do it by hands, we didn't have calendars that went out that far. So we're changing the way we're doing business there. The Jackie Durrell Pavilion was rented over 130 times this past year. We anticipate the same for next year and moving forward. With the Penfield opening, the locker will also be, we'll do our yearly lottery in March, where we'll rent all 200 plus lockers. We sell, or we rent all the boat slips at Penfield, the boat racks for kayaks and sailboats. We have 102 of them at that site. Moving on to golf. As you all know, last year was a very successful year. We were awarded the Connecticut State Golf Association award for being the best golf course in the state, the first public municipal golf course ever to get that. Last year, we did over 46,000 rounds.
Wow, Gerry, is that one of the highest numbers?
It's one of the higher ones in the recent, 50,000 plus back when the height of golf was going on. We did this because we had such a good November, December, and the beginning of January. We did 4,700 rounds in November, December, and January, which was just about 3,000 more rounds than the year before, because we're usually closed by Christmas. And with all the funding that we've been getting, obviously that's one reason we've given the award. The course is in such great shape. We're still in the process of rebuilding the tees, the bunkers, the cart paths, and we have approximately 3 years left on our 10-year plan. And then we're also looking forward to moving forward with the renovations of the clubhouse. That is also part of the 10-year plan, and we're hoping that will move forward shortly, or at least begin the phase. And another big area is our waterfront and marinas. We've recently, in the past year, made improvements. As you know, we have 5 beaches and a lake. At Lake Mohegan, we have the small water park, which is full every day. Then all the beaches are well used, particularly this year. We've lucked out. We haven't had any rainy days during the day. Recently, we've had afternoon showers. We've made improvements at Sasko and Southport Beach with handicapped accessibility, with DPW and the work that they've been doing. We've recently renovated the restrooms at Jennings. Both the men's and ladies' restrooms are completely renovated. We still do have some work outside because we want to put some enclosed shower stalls, but that's next phase. And we recently painted the Jennings Beach Pavilion on the outside. And that is also another phase where we're going to look at reciting the whole facility and bringing it up to date rather than what it is. Over at the racks, we added 30 new racks over for sailboats and kayaks, etc. We have 186 kayak racks, and if people were to put 2 in a rack, we'd obviously could have up to 372 kayaks there. They have room for 76 Hobies that they rent out and 10 sailboats, one design sailboats. Some of the things that we've done, we have in the marina itself, we have 609 slips that we try to sell. This past year we sold 588 of the 609. Of the slips, we had 7 unsold, we had 10 unsold small, 7 unsold mediums, and 4 unsold large slips. He's continuously, Kenny is continuously calling the wait list, which is fairly still extensive. On the small, we have 242 people on the wait list, 87 on the medium, and over 500 on the large wait list. So he's consistently trying to get new people in. He did get 49 new people into the marina this year of the 588. He is also, one of our rules is you have to be a permanent resident to have a slip in the marina. And we have found that not everybody is abiding by the rules and regulations. And as he finds them, they are being asked to leave or not being renewed the following year. So he is following through so that we can make sure that the residents get preference in the facility. Some of the improvements that he's made down there is he's put in new gangways with non-skid material. He's improved the 6 new channel buoys with solar LED flashing strobes, which can be seen much farther out, has a longer range. The entire marina is now surrounded in Wi-Fi. He's added that. And he's increased the storage facility by 30 additional boats on land, winter storage. He's replaced 24 pilings. We still have about 54 to replace, and this will be done over the course of time as funding is available. We know that dredging of the basin needs to be done in the channel. I know that they're in the process of doing a survey by Race, which is an engineering firm, and they're looking at short and long-term options. And I do know that funding will be requested in our non-recurring capital this year, and it's probably going to be, I believe Joe told me, in the neighborhood of about $700,000 to do dredging down at the and there is room, future projects, they are looking down the road they believe that there's room to add more slips along the, over by IDOC, I believe it is, near the parking lot. going to stretch, and right down to where we park the fire boats and all that. So there is room to expand and possibly increase our revenues as we move forward. In a nutshell, that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them or try to answer them.
Any questions from the board?
Oh, I have a question.
right
Just on the, kind of ended on the marina, and I actually had a couple questions on that.
Beautiful.
So I just actually had a call today about it, so I didn't know much about it myself, so I'm glad you explained some of it. Do we have a plan for the marina, like a written plan? I'm wondering who's in charge of that, who makes these decisions? Is it,
Well, the plan is usually made, I'm not going to say I have a written plan. It would be developed with Andy Kenny, Joe Michelangelo, and the engineering department, as well as myself, and then approved by the Parks and Recreation Commission. The plan right now is basically replacing pilings, improving some of the minor things, and as funding becomes available, like I said, possible increase of slips, okay? But that would
is
be,
the dredging a big concern, though?
to some voters, yes.
When's the last time it was done?
Storm Sandy. It's been done in the last, twice, I'm going to say in the last 10 years. Certain areas, not the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, and there's certain, you have the marina where the slips are, then you have the channel, then you have the outer channel.
Right.
So there's 3 different things. I couldn't give you the dates because
Right, no, I'm just trying to understand it, and then,
I am
does the
too.
state get involved in all of this?
Oh, you have to go through all the permitting process, et cetera, yes. It's not just, can I have X money and go and dig? No, there's a process that, and that's why I'm saying I know that Joe has been working on it, and Andy Kenny for the last couple of years, because they
Right.
have to, and I think you might even, how many years has it taken to get, did it take us to get Yair dredged? It took several years because of
Right.
the permitting process. But there is a plan, whether it's written out, no, I don't know.
Okay.
The other issue with the dredging is not just the cost and the dredging itself. One of the keys is where do you put the dredged material? Based on how clean it is,
Right.
where can it go? And that's something that we're dealing with, but also that the entire state is dealing with, or at least the coastal part of the state.
Well, that was one of my
And
other...
I met last week, or the week before, with a new chair of the Port Authority for the state, and talked about that. And specifically, we took a tour of Southport Harbor with the harbor master to take a look at what was happening here and what we were trying to do there from a dredging standpoint, and to educate, since this is a new authority that was set up, to educate them about what some of the concerns are we have in Fairfield and what the needs are in Fairfield. And also voicing a concern that we don't want this authority just to focus on the big harbors, the Bridgeport, the New Havens, the New Londons, but also worry about some of the smaller harbors, because it's a big impact on the quality of life throughout coastal Connecticut.
Right.
Regarding the channel and the dredging and everything, if I recall, don't hold me to the exact depth, but I believe it's like 4 at extreme low tide. I think the depth is about 4 feet, 4.5 feet maybe. So you know that if it's going to be dead low tide, that you have to leave earlier.
Right, if you've got one of the bigger...
If you have one, if it's going to affect your travel through the channel. Leave earlier or wait until the tide comes back in.
Right.
And that's not unique to our marina. It happens at all marinas that have, a low depth at a certain tide.
Right.
But we know that it's there. We would love to fix it. But it's going to be a process. And I think that's the best way of handling it.
So I know that we have somebody new, Andrew Kenny's new last couple of years, so he's getting
He's
it
getting his
under,
feedback.
trying to get it figured out. But do we look at, with the increased fees, does does the money we collect for the fees and stuff, does it go to the marina, or is it all part of our general, or how
I
does
believe
that
it's
work?
part of the,
All the funding that we collect from the marina go into the general fund. Okay, we have an expense budget, and you have to understand, we don't have a budget specific for the marina,
Right,
just as we don't have a budget specific for the maintenance of this building.
right,
Okay, it's all under DPW. I believe in my operating budget, I have about $30,000 for incidental maintenance. Okay, like the gangplanks or electrical work or things like that, that we, Andrew can take and get it done. But there's an expense side of the budget, and we come in and ask for that funding.
right,
And then we show the revenues. What we do is we get a lot of the expenses from the DPW of what they spend, from lawn mowing, electric, everything included down there. The specials, 24 hours at, during the season, security. So anything, we put together a package. And then what we do is, like with the 700,000, if we were gonna get that, we wouldn't say, okay, that's gonna be 1 year payback. We'd amortize that over 10, 20 years. Okay, we'd see how it best fits in. Our rates at our marina, okay, are, how do I want to say it? They're very low,
okay,
okay, compared to area marinas,
okay.
okay?
Is
Just
that, are there municipal marinas or?
Both.
And private?
Both.
Yeah.
But just to give you a quick, this is with tax included. A small slip, 14 feet to 22 feet, is $573 in Fairfield, presently.
Right,
Westport, $875, 21-foot max. Okay. So that's a cost difference of over $300.
right,
Stanford, $756. You can save 90 cents, so say 57.57. Okay. Greenwich, and that's, excuse me, for 22-foot or less size boat. Greenwich, $1,030 for a 20-foot dock. I guess they buy it by the dock. For a medium, and it goes like that
Right.
consistently. On the big size, I just jumped to the large size. Fairfield pays $1,500, 22, well, excuse me. Well, the large size, yeah, 1522 for one side of the dock on a 36-foot, up to 36-foot length. If you wanted electric and you wanted the greater span on the north side of the dock, where it's $1,800. This is for a 7-month season. But getting back to because there's no other town that has, I guess, has we call the north side given.
Right.
The other ones are up to 36. So Westport is at 24.50, up to 40 feet. Stanford's 2,157, up to 32. And Greenwich is $2,800, up to 30 feet. We know that these are going to be, we're looking, and I'll be proposing this evening, because obviously with the cutbacks that we had with state aid, et cetera, and speaking with the first selectman, I didn't have any in my department really where I could cut without cutting services. So we're looking at raising revenues. We went up 10%, I believe it was, last year on the voting. I'll be asking tonight, recommending, and it'll be up to the commission, a 3% increase, okay, on voters, which is for this fiscal year, which will start in January when they renew. So we'll bring in another approximately $15,000 in revenue. I think it's like $55 for one end, and I think it goes up to like 90 on the top end. Let me just see if I got, oh, excuse me. Yeah, I believe that's correct, somewhere in that neighborhood. We're going to be asking for a $5 increase on the A beach stickers. Okay? That would bring in approximately $87,500. But we will not be increased, I'm not recommending an increase for the seniors.
Okay.
They would pay $10.
That's the general beach
This is
sticker.
just a general beach
Yeah.
sticker. It hasn't been raised since 2010, I believe it was. We went from 18 to 20. We went up $2.
And when was the last marina increase? I know
Last year.
No, but before that.
In 2011, went up 20%. And before that, went up 11.5% in '09.
Okay.
We were going up every couple of years, a couple percent.
To paint some more of the picture there, both the Board of Finance and the RTM have consistently come back to the Parks and Rec and encouraged them to get their fees up to market in areas like golf course. And Gerry's kind of managed that growth over that time. And you can see both from the wait list and from the comparison going out to other facilities that we are well below the highest ones that are out there, certainly. And I think the fact that there's a wait list of over 500
Yeah, in each category different.
speaks to the desirability of people trying to get into that. And with a number of people that are creative in finding ways to stay on the list,
Yeah.
I think that Gerry and his team have done a very good job. And with Andy Kenny there, there's been a tremendous, I think, increase in terms of both service levels, but to your point, kind of where's more of the plan on that? We now have somebody who
He's beginning.
is aggressively looking at how do we improve our management. And importantly, he also works during the season, both weekend days.
Right.
So he takes 2 days off during the week, so that creates better coverage down there and better availability of him to the boaters. And we've gotten tremendously positive feedback on that shift.
Yeah, we're not, all of our programs, it's pay as you play. Our boaters, we understand, we know that you put an expense into buying a boat. But in this particular instance, obviously, the revenues that we're trying to raise are not specifically for the expense of operating the budget, it's the expense of operating the town. Okay, because of the cutbacks that we've received from the state. And as I said earlier, I didn't have any place to cut.
Right.
And unless I really wanted to hit services. And if I hit services, then I hit my revenues. If I hit my revenues, then you guys don't get the revenue anyways.
Right.
So it's a domino effect. But I think moving forward, and we'll probably be touching upon it this evening, is that the commission set a set rate every year of percentage going up. Not with just marina, but we're going to be talking about it next month with the golf, et cetera, rather than saying we wait 2 years and we'll say, okay, let's go 5%. So everybody knows it's going to go up 3% a year
Right.
until we can't be out of market.
Right.
Okay, we don't want to be number one. But right now we're not even in golf. I've always thought we were mid-level. We have room to move, particularly since we have a better golf course.
Right.
And as y'all saw, Bridgeport raised their rates last year substantially, and they haven't done that in years. Okay, they're still not higher than us, but also they don't have the quality golf courses such as us.
Right.
Nor does, I don't believe any of the other golf courses touch the condition that we are fortunate to have. And one reason is because we put money into the facilities, and I think that's huge.
So what was the total amount the rec department was asked to cover for the statewide cuts?
On my end,
On
we were
your-
asked to cover about $200,000, bring in an additional $200,000 this fiscal year. So the other areas that I'll be bringing in, so I said to you, about $15,000 in revenue from Marina. I'm estimating about $87.5 from beach stickers. From our recreation programs, it'll be about $50,000 more. I'm going to be recommending to the golf increases there, and it should bring around $70,000 in new revenue. It would be raising the rates on average of about $3 for green fees. We're looking at the ID cards moving up and the season pass card going up. And so those will be discussed. This discussion will start next month with golf, and they have time to do it.
Does the Board of Selectmen get to vote on the fee schedule?
It's a decision of the Parks and Rec Department.
One of the things I'm concerned about is passing along what I would basically consider a tax increase or a hidden tax increase on the residents. I had concerns, and one of the reasons why I wanted to get you in here earlier was the fee increase is, I saw going across the board, like this year, and I know because I've been in the Thursday night softball league now for 14 years, my phone was completely ringing off the hook with this year's fee increases to that. Made it very hard for us to turn around and ask the sponsors to cover, I think it was like $1,250 for the team fee. And then there was an additional, I think, $25 per player, which ended up getting waived by the town, if I'm correct, or
No.
we paid that? Okay. Yeah, it seems to me when I look across the board, we're doing these rec programs for essentially recreation, and we're now using the rec program to a level which I believe is too far, or pushing the envelope and using it to offset expenses for other areas of the town instead of, I guess, reducing budgets where we need to go. Other issues I saw come up this year, increasing the kayak rent fee. What's it cost to rent a kayak rack this year? Do you know that?
Yep, somewhere. $200.
$200 to rent a rack for the convenience of a resident, which is wood, which is, been there, right? The kayak probably costs $200, and, that's a yearly fee for basically storage. And again, we're trying to promote recreational activities across the town with biking and this and that, and $200 to rent what is a shelf, a wooden shelf, I think I think it's just too much. And when you break it down, you look at the areas like that, and the increase to the softball. We're hurting the people who were out there trying to, make an effort into, healthy living, group activities, camaraderie amongst other residents in town. I'm starting to get concerned at where we're going with the fee schedule. Instead, along those lines, I'd rather see us look at something a little bit more major, maybe look to redo the entire marina area, get more revenue out of there from the gas dock to the little snack shop we have there, relocate certain things we have on that property, bring in more vendors. I know you and I met about bringing a vendor in earlier this year. Bring in more outside vendors versus having it fall on the residents' shoulders. That being said, I think everybody in the town of Fairfield is affected by the rec department. I know I certainly use it more times than I can imagine I would. I use it as an adult softball player. My kids were in part of the summer camp program this year. They also did the early care. I give nothing but kudos to the rec department for putting that together. We have over 4,000 parents who are able to put their kids in a safe, fun camp, which, I don't know if the people at home realize that, but they have field trips across across the state. We have Quasi Day at Fairfield, which is, I mean, it's a home run of a day. It's a great activity. If you haven't done it, I strongly encourage you to do it. And the camp is self-sustaining, which I like
Right.
too. I don't hear anybody complaining about the fee for the camp and the price, because that is exactly, I think, where it should be. Another thing, while you're here, I'd really like to thank the people who come out there and sponsor. Like you mentioned, Saugatuck Sweets taking over and sponsoring the concerts on Saturday. That I know, and I don't want to get involved in naming companies, so I'm going to leave some off. But like Rocco Associates sponsoring the Thursday, the movie nights. You know, that's great. And the more we use those names of the companies which do it, maybe the more and more we'll have of companies willing to take sponsorships on for these events. You're exactly right. There was over 1,000 people at one of the movie nights this year. And if you're at home watching, like, those are great events which make Fairfield what we want it to be, a great community town. I haven't gone to the golf course yet this year, but I am planning on getting there at some point. One other thing, you mentioned we rentals for the Hobie Cats. Who
Yeah.
does that? Is that the town, or is that?
No, that's town. That's down at the Jennings Beach where the kayak racks are, where we spoke of. And there's Hobie Cats, and there's sailboats. It's all in that one area.
So town residents can go rent them?
No. You have a Hobie Cat.
Right,
You
okay.
rent the space.
I misunderstood.
I'm sorry.
That's what I thought. Perhaps we're in the bike business now, right?
Technically, we're not.
Technically, we're not, but we do have bikes available to residents in town,
The
correct?
town isn't the operator of that.
Okay. Perhaps we want to figure out a way to make a deal with another outside company to get involved in Hobie Cats, kayaks,
Yeah.
paddle boards.
And on a long haul, we might even at some point, as we look at the longer term piece of town, we might look at, do we want to be in the marina business at all, or should we rent that out and let somebody who is in the marina business, who then would be, I think that everything I've heard back from Parks and Rec and from Gerry says that we're both providing the services, we're providing them at a good value, because as we look at other towns that run this, they all do it, seem to do it for more money and charge their residents even more than we do. However, maybe from a town standpoint and services long-term, it might make sense to take a look at, do we outsource that? One of the challenges here, and as you sit through the budget hearings, as you did last year and as you will again this year, you'll hear that, again, both the Board of Finance and RTM continually is asking Parks and Rec, raise your fees, bring them up to market, let's make sure that we're not overly subsidizing those. So I think that Parks and Rec is continually trying to have to balance providing a good deal to the taxpayers in terms of what is a good value, but also making sure that they don't overly subsidize those programs for the other folks that don't use those specific programs. In terms of looking at outsourcing, we did a long analysis on the golf course, Gerry and his team, and it looked like we made some adjustments in terms of how we do maintenance. It looks like that makes more sense for us than trying to outsource the whole program. So we'll continue to look at those opportunities, because as we define what businesses the town needs to be in versus what town businesses we can provide better services and perhaps better value by not being in. So not suggesting that we outsource the marina at the moment, but I think long-term that will be a continuing question as we go through that.
And maybe to that end, maybe it would make sense to have like a group of people focused on the marina and what makes sense down there.
Yeah,
And formulating a plan so people know, and looking at how the money gets spent and if we're doing it in the best way.
Well, I believe that's being,
It's really what the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I'm not
Commission
saying
wants at this
nobody's
point.
doing it, but I'm just saying people specifically on that, not doing a bunch of different, if they're
Well-
on the Parks and Rec Commission, they're looking at a lot of different areas of Parks and Rec.
but it's all under one umbrella. I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying and where you're going. You could say that about anything. You could say it about the concerts. You could say it about, because not everybody likes the concerts that we put out there.
Right.
Not everybody likes the way we run summer camps, even though they are successful. Other people have other ideas, or they want more and they want to pay more, okay? Government and Parks and Recreation are we're not trying to be overly taxing to the residents, but I think we have to provide a good product for a fair price. And I know here in Fairfield, we do that, okay? And yes, I did get a lot of feedback on the $25 implementing the player fee. The reason we did that is because we implemented a new program that DPW and Parks and Rec, because DPW maintains all our facilities. We implemented a new program to improve the conditions of our facilities. We have a turf management program in place that's really taken off over the last year and a half. We're getting a better product, and we're putting a better, safer product out there. It's going to take time, but it's a long way from a year ago when we went into this. That costs money, okay? And really, it was brought to us by the youth groups. Youth Little League started it. They came to us and said, Gerry, can we maintain these fields? We'll pay for it. Great. We took some of those fields offline. In other words, they're maintaining them. They're paying for all the maintenance. Youth soccer is going to be driven. So all the youth groups are contributing $25, I'm sure, are or will be in the next year, okay? We're not trying to overburden them, but we're trying to give them a better product, and by offsetting the cost in the budgets each year, because obviously our expenses are going to go up. So we see that, and we didn't think $25 would break anybody to play a sport, okay, for the whole summer, okay, and for, you know, like the youth leagues that are out there, and like I said, they came to us, and then we went to youth soccer. Well, not a problem. Yes, we agree, because they know what kind of conditions. They go to other communities. They come back here and say, how come we can't have that condition? That's what we're trying to give to them. So I understand it. Believe me, I sat back when we were thinking about this and how do we facilitate this without breaking the bank of the users, okay? The adults basically weren't paying, okay, to play softball, okay? They got a sponsor to pay the sponsor fee, which covered the umpires, the balls, et cetera, everything, the lights, everything that we associate with the cost of running a league. So the softball player was playing, I don't know, 30 games or whatever for the summer, plus playoffs, at no charge. They were going out, like you said, having a great time, camaraderie. That's what the recreation's supposed to be. But there's got to be a, you know, we didn't think $25 admission fee or a fee would be much. I mean, it's less than going to a movie sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand where everybody's coming from, but we're trying to facilitate, and, you know, I propose budgets every year, or you know, and, well, we got to make cuts because we don't want the mill rate. So I look at it as, if I can do it and provide wholesome recreation, safe recreation, at a reasonable cost, without burdening the mill rate, where some people aren't playing softball, some people aren't in the marina, some people aren't, you know, doing this. And I get it as a recreation director from all sides, okay? Why do I have to, you know, buy a beach sticker? I'm a resident, I'm paying taxes. You know, you don't have to buy a beach sticker, okay? It's just that you won't be able to park in the parking lot. You can still use the beaches.
Right.
Okay? I mean, and it's a lot of money. That helps offset the mill rate moving down the road. So I understand it. I grapple with it every year. But I didn't think any of our fees breaks the bank in the town of Fairfield for the users. And that's what we've always tried to do, is be fair to our users. And when we compare them to other communities, I think we're right there. We don't want to be low, as I'm always told by Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and RTM. And just this past year, how come you're not raising your rates more? Well, you raise them and let the boaters yell at you. You raise them and let the golfers yell at you. I mean, that's what happens. I don't want to pay more. So none of us do.
Right.
So that's where, I just want to provide wholesome recreation for the community at a reasonable rate and safe facilities. That's what we try to do.
And I think you're doing a very good job of that, Chairman.
Thank you.
When did the new fee schedule go into play for this year?
What fee schedule is that?
Well, I mean, because you raised the marina fee this year. When was the last time the rec department voted?
Last December, as I said, marina fees went up 10% last year, last December.
And is that when they did the softball increase too?
We did that I think they start registering in March.
March of 16 or March of 17, Jerry?
March of, it was this year. This was the first year, 16. They just went up.
What about golf fee? Did they go up this year?
Golf fees went up also this fiscal year.
And
Those fees
They
were
went
all-
up,
Yep,
they
just
were
be clear.
implemented last
Yeah.
January.
Those fees are all included in the budget book
Correct.
that we approved.
Right.
So tonight you're going ahead and you're asking for fee increases on top of this year's fee increases to cover a budget shortfall.
Correct.
And you made the point that the RTM and the Board of Finance has asked us for revenue for us. Did they ask for revenue for fee increases for this particular case to cover the $200,000? Or is that just a general statement?
No, that's a general statement they have for the past several years in terms of every year reminding Gerry and the Parks and Rec that they want to see an increase in those fees and make sure they're at market every year.
Okay,
That's been part of that discussion.
yeah, and I'll take that as face value, it market every year, but here, we're raising the fees twice in 1 year for 4 out of the 5 things I think you mentioned.
No, I
Okay.
don't believe so.
We'll run through it together. Marina fees are going up twice this year.
No,
No.
the 3% is for next year.
You said you need this revenue for this fiscal year.
Right, but I won't, correct, it's going up, yeah, because this is the fiscal year 17,
Right.
the budget year in which we got cut, reduced from the
Right.
state. It was after the budgets were already passed. Okay? We increased the rates last January, which would have ended, basically, they paid for, because all the marina fees come in
Right.
January to March, April, okay? So then, that was in the 16 budget. Okay? Would have carried over, obviously, if we didn't raise the rates, it would be the same income coming in this year. If you follow,
I
you
got
following
you.
that?
Yeah, no, I
Okay,
misspoke
so-
there.
So what Jerry's speaking about tonight is in the fiscal 17 budget, so that's 3%
Right.
in the fiscal 17 year, which would be next January through March is when those fees would actually come in.
So the golf fees aren't going up after this passes?
They would go up in fiscal year 17, starting in March, when we open up, if the commission approves it, which I'm sure they will, they'll come up with some rate increase. And they will increase it beginning in March. Now, the season ends this December.
All right, so maybe I'm getting, because we're in fiscal year
Because
17
what it is,
now.
Chris, is we overlap.
We're in fiscal 17 now, yes.
In other words, Chris,
But we collected a lot of this money in fiscal 16, so in essence, simplest way to say it is locker fees for the beach, Penfield, those are all collected in the spring. So that's collected in fiscal year 16, let's say, but for the summer of kind of 16 and
It would
fiscal
start
17,
17.
right? So that following year, you'd get locker fees in the spring, but that's really for fiscal 18, the summer of fiscal 18.
So the rec department runs on 2 different fiscal years then? For
we
golf?
overlap fiscal years.
We
We don't
overlap,
run on
yes.
two.
All right. So the golf fee increases would be for next March, not this September?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
all right.
No, yeah. And what happens, Chris, is, like I said, I'm saying, and when I spoke with the first selectman about this, and we were talking about cutting and everything, all of our, it's 200,000 over my estimated revenue for fiscal year 17. Okay? So that's how we do it. But all of our revenues, because I raised the rates in 16, the fiscal year 15, 16, they went up because it was last year's fiscal year. July 1 started a new fiscal year, even though we overlap. You're playing golf in 17, your vote's already in the marina. You didn't pay us in 17, you paid us in 16.
Right.
So
It's just the way the calendar and everything works.
I guess I'll close with this. So we did most of our fee increases last January, right?
Mhm.
What's the rush to do them this August instead of next January?
They won't go into effect until January. We have to advertise, we have to get it passed and let the voters know in December when we send all the paperwork out. We have to let the golfers know, we have time on golf because we don't have to advertise, but it would be in this, in the fiscal year 17. It's just timing, but it's not going, nothing is going into effect until January 1 of 17.
So were all your increases that went into effect last January, March, were they approved last year in August? I think that's what
I
Chris
think
is
they were
getting.
approved in September, October, November, in that time frame. I think the marina was probably September or October. Golf, I think, was November. And it might be November by the time.
So I
we
guess the
act
question
on it.
was, why are we doing it in August, not in the fall? Like, if that was normally when you would do it?
Because
Well, it doesn't impact the
It's not
cash flow.
impacting
Doesn't
anything
impact-
until,
You write out one check a year, you write it out at the same time of year.
Right.
This is just giving people more notice,
okay.
but it's also for our planning so that we know what's taking place.
the other thing is when we advertise, in other words, we send the marina stuff, and I'll speak to the marina specifically, that information will go out in December because.
Right, it has to
Right.
start coming in January.
So we can't send it out unless we know.
Right,
Okay? It could take a month or two before the commission, like, they won't vote on it this evening.
right.
They'll discuss it next month or the month later, they'll vote on it.
Okay.
Okay? Then the staff has to get the paperwork, get it ready, and put it out. Okay? Same thing with golf. Okay? Golf, we have a little more time, okay, because the only thing other than the IDs, if they're gonna raise the IDs, because we start selling them in January. You can renew.
Yep.
Okay? Beach stickers, same thing. We start selling those in December.
Right, and that's all a change in the last couple of years, right? It used to be,
Because we made everything one
Right.
year, because we tried to make everything consistent. So I know that it's a little bit confusing, sometimes it's a lot confusing. You know, most departments work from July 1 to June 30th. We don't.
right.
Okay? Everything overlaps. All our cash comes in now, and we spend,
Right.
down the road. So that's why it's.
Which is a very positive cash flow situation that really helps out the management of that, Jerry, so thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the way we do it. I mean, it's very confusing. When I sit down to try to make up the budget and try to follow, we said, well, wait a minute, that's right. It's not this month.
Right.
So, and as I said, I think that our rates are reasonable. I don't think it's the mission, I know it's not the mission of the director nor the commission to break the bank of the residents of Fairfield. I think it's our mission to provide the best facilities we can at a reasonable cost. And as Chris was so kind to say, that we have that camp program, and just to give you an indication, that camp program, when we used to have it in the budget, I think it was like $60 for the summer. And we jumped it up to 170, 175, 200, depending on what program you were in, or 300. I think I had one person question it.
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous value. And I say this sincerely, thank you for all you do. Your answers are very candid. I don't mean to put you on the hot seat
Oh, I
about
feel
the
it.
fees, but I think it's important. One of my concerns is sort of what Mike just mentioned. We've got time on this, but the way the fee increase sort of came up or bubbled up this week, I was sort of afraid that we're trying to pass something while nobody's paying attention. And you've said they're not going to vote on it tonight, you're just presenting it tonight, and they might vote on it in a month or 2 months.
My commission, I don't ever call voting on fee increases. on the evening that it was proposed.
Okay.
Okay? We announce it, and then we vote on it the following month, or, because they want to hear feedback. They also want to, there'll be, but like, these fees, as I said, these fees are not associated. These fees increases that are being proposed, okay, are not for, some will say, let me see the expenses of the golf course versus,
Right.
has nothing to do with that, okay?
Right.
It has to do with the expenses of the community as a whole, to absorb help reduce the operations, okay? Now, they may sit back and not raise rates again for another 2 years, okay? Depending on how they do it, But these fees in particular, okay, these recommendations, okay, are not for any other reason. If we didn't have the cutbacks, the reductions from state aid, we probably wouldn't be having this, I know we wouldn't be having this conversation this evening, okay? Because, as you said, we just raised the rates. 2 years from now, we might be having.
Right.
Let me rephrase that. You might be having this conversation. But, no, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, we're not just raising rates to raise rates.
Right.
And I hope people understand that, and that we try to be as fair and equitable as possible to everybody.
And Parks and Rec, probably more than any other department, is not just the service department. It's in the market competing with other towns and other services, because many people can go to other recreational opportunities, specifically golf courses, in other towns if they choose to, rather than here. So from this case, I think that Gerry and his team, again, are much more conscious of what other towns are doing, what they're charging, how we compare, and what the market is out there, to make sure that, in comparison, we continue to be a very good value.
Yeah, I mean, our whole
Thank
thing.
you.
Okay?
Thank you.
I have one other thing I meant to ask earlier, or I was thinking about asking earlier. I was just curious about your online registration system and how that's set up. I'm just wondering if there's any plan to kind of update it, or it's not very
Absolutely.
user-friendly?
Absolutely. We thought we were going to update it last year. My commission approved the expenditure of $70,000 for a new software package. We didn't follow through on it because one of our biggest online programs is the beach stickers.
Yep.
And the company that we were dealing with, even the one we're using now, is, your license plate is the first name of the sticker in our
Right.
system. And it's just, we had to make the system work the way we do business. The company just recently completed how to do the beach stickers, because that's a big
Right.
program for us. We also wanted to make sure that we had, that's something that could do golf and marina and our recreation programs.
Because the marina's not currently on there, is it?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah, well, it's on ours, he's using several different,
Right.
databases. We didn't want to have different databases in town. We wanted one database that, and we wanted to try to make it user-friendly. The new one is a little bit more user-friendly.
Okay.
None of them are user-friendly to me, okay? Because I have difficulty with computers. But you're absolutely right. It needs to be updated. We do plan on doing it, and I believe that they'll probably attack it and have it online, because it takes time to implement a new program.
Right.
So we were hoping to have it online by this past January, but we couldn't get even like I said, not only couldn't they meet our needs, which they now say they can, but we need 3-4 months of behind-the-scenes
Right.
work to put it in. So, yes, that is in the works. I'm going to say next year at this time, or probably, yeah, I would venture to say next year at this time.
So probably not for all the registrations coming
No.
up.
No. But we do need to update the golf, we need to update, and I didn't want to have a separate, because I don't want to have people have to drive all the way to Smith Richardson, okay, to buy an ID card. because we try to have one town ID card for all of our recreational amenities. And if I had separate databases, it wouldn't work.
Okay.
Okay? And that's a big public relations
Yeah.
standpoint from the way I look at it.
I didn't know my golf card was good for other things.
Yeah, as long as you pay for it.
Yeah, of course.
Well put.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Lombardo?
No. Thank you.
Jerry, thank you very much. And
you.
again, great job, and congratulations.
Thank you. Sorry it took so long.
Next up, item 5, Director of Public Works. This requires Board of Finance and RTM approval to hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Director of Public Works. Resolved that Michael C. Tetreau, First Selectman of the Town of Fairfield, is hereby authorized to expend up to $20,000 to purchase and install 4 single-head electric vehicle charging stations at 755 Melville Avenue and 785 Uncle Road, also known as Fairfield Ward and Fairfield Ludlow High School. Said funds to be 100% reimbursed from grant funds made available by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection under Connecticut's Public Fleet Electric Vehicle and Public Workspace EV Charging Station Incentive Program. May I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Second. The item is now before us. Mr. Bowman, can you fill us in?
You just about said it. It's part of a continual program we've been doing. We have 7 stations, 4 of which we put in under this program, 3 of which we put in when we put photovoltaic in. But we try to expand the program to the eastern part of town, because there's very little public property in that part of town. The high school is one place we could put it. The Commission, Energy Task Force, tried to get some of the shopping centers up on Black Rock Turnpike to do it. They just couldn't get them to do it. I don't know why. They got 100% of the money, but they got no interest from any of the stations up there, as much as they thought from. So we then added one at Ludlow. I know the committee had talked to teachers at both high schools about their interest in it, because it's restricted to the teachers. And they got like 8 teachers in one school and 6 in another who either own or are willing to buy electric cars to take advantage of the situation. Because you can use 6 or 8 cars on these 2 things. They only need like 2 hours of charging to go from home to there. So the Energy Task Force thought these were good locations for these things. They also have one now at Riverfield School. So again, we'd like to get them in some private properties. Whole Foods has one. That's the only one private in town so far. So again, the grant has expired, but the state told us if we appropriate the money, they'll give us the money. But they're not going to re-give it to us unless they know we've got the money. And we'll be able to do it fairly quickly because we already put it out to bid, and we have bids which are $19,500. So we know there's more than enough money to make the installation charges. So that's about it.
Any questions from the board?
So how quickly are you looking at putting them in?
This
Like
fall.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as the
you get
RTM
the-
approves it, they'll be going in that following month because
Okay.
the company's all set and to do it. Same one as did the other one, so they're very familiar with the town's permitting and everything else. So.
It's interesting that
it-
none of the private places
Yeah.
want them.
I mean, I live in Milford in Orange. They have them, and Trader Joe's has them. They're all over the place, but not here.
All right. It would go before the Board of Finance in September and the RTM in September, from a timing standpoint.
Yeah.
All right. Any further questions from the board?
Nope.
Any comments from the public? All right, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Bowman.
Good.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rowan.
Next up, tax collector, to consider and approve an abatement of taxes for the 2014 grand list taxes due July 15 through June 16 for 21 Durrell Drive in the amount of $4,744.32 and 63 Durrell Drive in the amount of $3,788.16. May I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
A second?
Second.
All right. Cinda, Ms. Bookter, our tax collector, will you please fill us in on what this program is about?
Okay, so this is 2 properties that are HUD properties. They're low-income housing, and the town in August of 1995 entered into an agreement that said if these properties were continued as were built and strictly as low-income housing that was HUD approved, that the town would abate the taxes. So it has been since 1995 that these two properties have indeed been low-income housing. Mark Bernhardt from our Community Development is the one who certifies that they are indeed reached the agreement that the town made. And so this is what happens, is we abate them after the year has completed, the tax year has completed, to make sure that they have, stayed as those properties as low income for the entire tax time, and then the taxes are abated
So just to confirm, this is something we do every year at this time?
every year, absolutely, yep. With these two properties only.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Nope.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none. Back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Cinda. Next up, also from the tax collector, to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount recommended. May I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
Any comments?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment, please.
Okay.
I'd like to change the amount to $10,244.28, followed by a period.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Okay, the item as amended stands before us. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, to hear, consider and act upon any other business that shall come before this meeting. None I know of.
Nope.
All right. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.